Hey, what is happening, everybody?
What up?
We got new graphics.
Man, I love it.
This is the Varsity Brews podcast. I'm Vahid Sadrzadeh. Of course, from your left to your right, what you're looking at is a very built Evan Sharpley in his garage with a big old American flag hanging up in the background. Former Notre Dame quarterback, and of course, our head brewer on this show, none other than CEO, CFO, COO, Aaron West.
You forgot CIO.
Oh, sorry. I always forget something that's attached to the name, buddy.
There you go.
This is going to be a very, very, very entertaining podcast. First, we want to get to our sponsors here. Of course, we are brought to you at Varsity Brews Podcast by Rustic Rocks. We are brought to you by Westwind Brewery and Legacy Performance. Coming up on the show, Notre Dame at Texas A&M, 10,000 strong. Couldn't even stop Mr. Riley Leonard and the Fighting Irish get to 1-0. Michigan struggles on their – sorry, buddy. They
That's
did
right.
get the W.
Throw the daggers. We got to win, yeah.
On their way to face Texas this week in the Big House. Should be a good one. And surprise flops in the first couple of weeks. I can think of one particular school that comes to mind. And we'll talk about everybody's favorite coach, Brian R. Kelly. I don't know. His name's not R. Kelly. I don't know if that's his middle name or what. And, of course, NFL is back this weekend, and the Detroit Lions play football.
Let's go. They can't see it, but that's my big old lion sign back there.
So we've got a bevy of information coming your way. All right, guys, let us start with the game this weekend. I was rocking the cowboy hat. I was rocking the good luck.
You look good, baby.
What?
You look good.
Thanks, dude. I kind of like my new look. I don't know how my 33 and a half week pregnant wife feels about it, but she has the good luck belt now hanging up in her
nice.
in her little room that she's got in the hospital, and it's a good luck situation.
Hey, does that S stand for Stanley? Like, baby Bill Stanley Sadrzadeh or
No, it stands for Sadrzadeh.
Oh, Sadrzadeh. Oh, is that what it? Okay, all
right. So I got to ask you guys. Maybe Evan, we'll start with you. How did Riley Leonard play in your eyes? And were you surprised by kind of the outcome?
It was a pretty. I guess we would kind of call it a boring game. It was pretty boring, at least the first half. I thought that Notre Dame did a nice job of weathering kind of that early storm.
Is that it?
You guys still got me?
Yep, I still have you.
Okay, cool. I thought that they had, Notre Dame's offense, they had a pretty good game plan for Riley Leonard to kind of, get acclimated to the game. You're going into a pretty hostile environment. They didn't ask him to do more than he needed to do. I had a couple people message me kind of in that second quarter where really neither offense was doing much of anything. And it was, kind of questioning the play calls. And I was like, well, I think that this staff is still kind of trying to understand who they have, right? And maybe what the identity of the team is going to be. Certainly the offensive line is going to have to improve as the season goes on if they're going to want to run the football. But I think given what the defense did, they did a nice job of getting off the field on plays that they needed to. Certainly Texas A&M shot themselves in the foot, especially that first drive. Jumping off sides on the 3rd and 1 where they had the first down picked up. Did it the next drive too. They easily could have been up 2 touchdowns, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But that's how football goes sometimes, and you force Texas A&M into a couple of poor decisions, poor throws, and Notre Dame's defense does what they did last year, and sets Notre Dame's offense up with some short fields. And then what I think we saw towards the end of the game, even though it was still pretty close, was Notre Dame began to push the line of scrimmage. And what I like to see, and again, the caveat here is making sure that you're keeping Riley Leonard healthy. But, some of those design runs to the weak side where you've got a couple pulling linemen, he's a tough guy to tackle in the open field, and also is, he understands the game, knows when to hit the ground. The targeting penalty was one too. He took the slide versus trying to take the defender on. You get a guy kicked out of the game, right? So I thought he played with poise and maturity, which I think we kind of expected. He didn't play outside of what his responsibilities were. The moment wasn't too big. And in those environments, it's always about surviving kind of that early, your emotions are high, new stadium, lots of people, you're the underdogs, you're the opposing team coming into enemy territory. So, overall, was it extremely impressive? I don't think anybody's going to be like, it blew the roof off, but you got the win. And now you look at kind of, again, how the schedule plays, and you can't get caught looking ahead, right? You can't. But USC, I think, now is more sneaky than FSU, for sure. But, what we've said on this podcast every single week leading up to the season is if Notre Dame's defense does what it does and the offense doesn't do things to detract from that, they're going to be in positions to win football games every week.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good analysis. Are you surprised a little bit at kind of Marcus's entrance with the team? I mean, jacking them up like that. I mean, let's just be honest. No coach that we've known at Notre Dame has done that before. Certainly Brian Kelly, if you look at his entrance in big games the other night, I mean, he's not going to do that with his players. He said he was trying to be more of a father figure for the new guys that were starting on the offensive line, kind of jacking them up. You remember that scene at the beginning of the game? Texas A&M is rowdy. They've got Power playing in the background, and he's like looking at his guys. He's jacking them up. He's looking at the crowd, and he's kind of like, "Hey, we're here to play." Was that? Do you think that was needed? Do you think that we haven't seen him that animated before?
Yeah, well, before we get to that, my coach physically couldn't do that. So, but I think, what that was, we've heard he's a player's coach, and for a guy that maybe is leaning more towards that player's coach side of things,
yeah,
he also has to find the balance of being able to get on the guys. But I think what that showed his players was like, I'm in this with you, right? Let's match the intensity. Let's set the tone early. Because if you come out timid, that environment can get brought to you and smack you in the face. So I think what it was, hey, let's elevate it right now. Accept the moment that we're in, appreciate the experience, and let's go out there and play. So, I know as a player, it would have got me fired up, right? And we don't see the day in, day out in the off season and what was leading up, fall camp and then into the games. But it's a grind for everybody, and you finally get out there and you're able to play, and to let loose like that. I'm sure the fellows loved it, and it just kind of put a stake in the ground, and I think in their mentality and how they wanted to attack that game.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And another coach that you're fond of, Mr. AJW, Mr. Sharon, he probably would do the same thing for his guys. But what did you think of the Fighting Irish in that environment? And the door is open for those boys now to kind of walk through possibly what could be a special season.
Yeah, for me, I mean, you take a look at the Fighting Irish coming into a game. They say one of the toughest places to, and obviously, Vahid, you were there. Texas A&M night game is one of the toughest. And I mean, isn't it like the 12th man is like actually their slogan? Where I think Saban talked a little bit about it. Where it's a very difficult place to play, right? first of all, night games are tough because you got a whole day of tailgating, maybe drinking some fine craft brew along the way. I don't know. But I'll tell you that
there's more than just craft brew that was drank and thrown up. Okay. Let me just tell you that.
I'm sure cowboy hats are flying, but to go on the road for me, I mean, as you look at Notre Dame from last year, to come on the road against a higher ranked, Texas A&M team, they were
not higher ranked.
Really?
They were 20. They were 20th.
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 Oh, yeah. 7th going in.
7th. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
but still a ranked opponent.
Yeah, a ranked opponent. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me. But I just think that, that was a tough environment. I mean, you got game day there. McAfee's there. The vibe is, it's college football kickoff weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. And I think for the Irish, I mean, to go in there again with a transfer QB and to go do what they did, I think it actually probably shocked a few people along the way and said, hey, maybe Notre Dame really does have something. I mean, we talked about earlier in the other podcast that things are favorable in terms of their schedule. I think it's a great way to start the season. And what better way, and Evan, maybe you can attest to it, but when you win the first game on the road at a tough place to play, I think that sets up for, the rest of the season. I mean, you know how it is. Sometimes that first and second game can take a look at Florida State. They're going to be in trouble here. I mean, 2 losses coming on. And so I think that to go down there, win that game that some people thought Irish aren't going to win this game. Okay, they were ranked higher, but the Irish played very well. I mean, they looked like a, top 10, top 12 team, in my opinion. They look like a team that I think they'll be in the playoff. If that's my analysis of it. Evan?
Yeah, I mean, winning your first one's always big, and doing it on the road against a ranked opponent, it kind of, it tees it up. And I think to kind of what Vahid's, alluding to is it being a special season, and it certainly could. I still look at this team, and I think that the team is very similar to last year's team, but the schedule matters. And I think, it bodes very well. But I say that, and it's hard to win every week in college football. It's hard. You have to be consistent. You can't get distracted. You can't have off weeks and off games. So that's the message that's got to continue throughout this season. But, whether you go undefeated or not, I'm with you, Aaron. I think Notre Dame is going to be, in the playoffs. I'd love to see probably a couple more weeks, just body of work from other teams. But, the AP poll came out, Notre Dame's 5th. And that doesn't worry me. But, again, you look at what Ohio State did in week 1, and you look what Texas did, Alabama, another team too. I think a lot of people, the question would be and again, Texas A&M's in the SEC, so, how are they going to play out the rest of the year? We don't know. Maybe that'll help kind of give a barometer for Notre Dame's success in the postseason. But what Notre Dame has to do, in my opinion, is especially, you look at the Northern Illinois, the Armies, the Navies that are on the schedule, they need to put up some 40 and 50 spots on these teams. And I think, starting off the way they did, it's now let's take that momentum and let's get after it.
They were 3-point underdogs. They were 3-point underdogs in that game.
They were
3-point underdogs, yeah. Which again, I mean, I think that probably had to do more with the environment, not necessarily Texas A&M being the 20th ranked team, right? Usually that drastic of a 7th versus a 20th. Usually you're not seeing that, but I think that they thought just going into that environment was going to be a test, and maybe some fresh faces and unanswered questions. But I can't overstate the importance of having a guy who's been in a collegiate program and had success leading the charge on the offense. There weren't a ton of procedural penalties. There were a few.
Mm-hmm.
There were more so from Texas A&M, which is surprising when you're playing at home. And I think that just lends to probably the presence in the huddle and the voice that you have from a guy who's been there and done that at the college level. you look at other programs where it's a first year starter or a new guy. It takes a little bit of time to settle in. And Aaron, you probably witnessed that a little bit with Michigan, right? It isn't JJ McCarthy out there anymore. So, the example I always use in the NFL, right? If you're with a team for a long period of time, you probably know what type of deodorant the guy next to you or what gum he chews, right? These guys are graduating or gone in 3 or 4 years, and now at the transfer portal, there's more turnover. But the consistency, it's tougher at the college level. So having a guy that has that experience it's a tremendous asset. And going and playing on the road the way that they did, but to have a guy like Riley Leonard, I think was definitely, he'll have that piece. You're not going to get too high with the highs and too low with the lows. You're going to stay on an even keel.
Well, very quickly, Evan, we saw him run for more than 60 yards. He had plenty of carries, got banged up a couple times. That personal foul that we saw, the targeting in the beginning of the game, he's used to running out of the pocket. He wants the ball in his hands. Is that a concern moving forward in terms of putting yourself in harm's way? He wants to be that guy, right? But at some point, you want to protect your star quarterback, your transfer quarterback.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention it, too. It's pretty cool seeing a number 13 starter jogging out of the
there
field.
You go.
It's about time. This could be the season. They just needed someone wearing 13.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, I think to that point, what you don't want to do is, as an offensive play caller and when you're structuring your game plans, is you don't want to completely take that off the table, but you have to be aware of it. I don't want to say there's a concern. I think that's, there's a negative connotation with that.
Yeah.
You don't want to change he certainly has his strengths. He knows and is smart when he runs. He certainly has to be able to protect his body for the full season. So if you paid attention to the times he ran, there were, one specific I remember, there was an ejection out of the pocket. And by the way, I watched the ESPN3 cut, which is the sky cam, which is directly behind the quarterback. So you can see in real time, you don't get the side view where you can see everybody and you're pointing at the TV like, that guy's open. You watch that view from behind and you see how quickly decisions have to be made. But he did a great job of, being in a pocket. Pocket kind of opened up and he saw it and took it, protected his body and picked up a big gain. But then, as you saw later in the game, into the third and fourth quarter, that QB designed run was a big part of their ability to control the line of scrimmage and I think grind out some yards into the third and fourth quarter. When I think at that point, the big difference in the game was Notre Dame, I think, was better conditioned, and they had that package with him in key situations to pick up 6 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. They did get called for a hold on one of them, I know, but I would assume you're going to continue to see that, but it's got to be strategic. You may see it in some game plans where maybe there's more of it, Vahid, but there could be some weeks where it's like, we may need his arm a little bit more based on what the defense is kind of giving or dictating towards us. But what it did is I think it opened up the run game then for the running backs who for the first half of the game, there wasn't much going on. A couple here and there, but overall it wasn't, consistent chunks of yards on the ground.
Yeah.
And I think what that does is the defense has to be aware then that you have two running backs in the backfield. One just happens to be the quarterback.
Yeah. Well, the Irish get it done 23-13. Either way you shake it up. Notre Dame is 1-0. They come home and they take on Northern Illinois University, followed by Miami of Ohio. So there you go.
Winnable those games.
Winnable games all around the next couple of weeks. And then Louisville, who they had a tough time with last year, who everybody thought they would take care of. So, and then they have a bye. So Really this month of September should be a nice starting off point, launching point for Notre Dame. Let's transition now and talk about AJW's Michigan Wolverines. Things were a little in doubt until the 85-yard interception return for a touchdown. AJW, that's not really the way you wanted to draw it up in the first week.
Well, it's tough. You talk about coming off a national championship where you go 15-0. Not too many college teams have ever done that. To be off the high, I remember telling Aiden that, hey, relish every moment last year, buddy, because next year's a new year and you're going to have a whole new team. I mean, we lost there were 14 players drafted in the NFL from Michigan. Actually set an NFL record. I believe that's the correct number. And, probably one of the key things that was out there that people are starting to talk about after game one, because Michigan did struggle against the Fresno State team. Keep in mind, though, if you look at a lot of the people that talk about Fresno State, they're considered a very dangerous team. They're well coached. They're fast. They gave Michigan all they could handle. Ultimately, obviously Michigan ended up covering the spread. 30-10 was a final score. But you take a look at the big things that stuck out to me is in the quarterback position. We all thought Alex Orji, when Evan beat me up last week on NCAA football, and I'm playing with Orji, and I think I had like 60 yards. That happened in real life. I think there's some big questions. I mean, they say he's got a big arm, but accuracy is a concern. He ran the football several times. It looked like those were set pieces of where that's at. But the biggest surprise that everybody's kind of throwing their hands up going, what in the world's going on, is Warren Davis, who's he's a redshirt junior who ended up starting for Michigan that actually looked like there was some promise. I mean, he had a lot of good completions for a guy that my understanding is that he was a walkout at Michigan. And so this is the guy that's leading the Maize and Blue after a national championship run. That to me is a huge thing. So although Michigan didn't look that hot at home, struggled, against Fresno State, Tuttle, who is the guy that everybody thought Jack Tuttle would be the other guy who was going to be competing with Orji. I believe he actually went to Indiana. I think Indiana and Utah were there's two home schools. He was a transfer up from Indiana. And for me, I look at that going, but apparently he's got an injury. So the reality was they had a choice: either start Orji, who wasn't, it sounded like from a passing standpoint he was very inaccurate. They started this Warren, the Warren Davis kid. And you know what? I mean, if you look at the Michigan faithful on social boards and people talking about it, not too shabby to go in and come off of probably a big game in the perception of college football, because everybody's like, the first two games are like, everybody's excited. College football started. And, when you're struggling, I think through almost halftime, I think it was only 10-3, something like that. I mean, it was as a fan, you're like sitting there going, well, hey, what's going on, man? We were a national championship last year. Evan alluded to it, though, but we're in a little bit of a rebuilding year. Donovan Edwards at the running back position, he's a guy that everybody's like, oh, he's going to be RB1. Well, guess what? He wasn't RB1. He really was more kind of RB2. And Khalil Mullins, who actually is a redshirt senior, ended up taking a vast majority of snaps and kind of filling that void of Blake Corum, where we had more of that gritty back that can run the football through the line. So I think you're going to see that be another interesting play. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter who's that quarterback. From a receiver standpoint, you got to go with our tight end in Loveland. I mean, I think he's a NFL draft pick, and he's going to be the guy that's going to carry us through some of these big games if we can get that dialed in and we eventually have a QB1 that everybody's happy with. That would be my overtake.
Well, how do you think, I mean, based on how Michigan played at home against, an unranked team, how do you think they do week 2 now that one of the best teams in college football come knocking on the door? And I actually, it was a little tongue-in-cheek, AJ, so I apologize. And I'm like, hey, are they going to get to 50 over-under? But look, you look at this Texas team, and I think they can score 50 every single week. That's how good they are.
Yeah, it's going to come down to how Michigan's defense plays. you don't want to get into a shootout. If they're trying to trade scores, I don't think it's going to look very good. Michigan's going to have to get some stops, and then their offense is going to have to grind out some long drives and try to keep Quinn Ewers and the Texas Longhorn offense off the field.
Last time I checked, Ewers is a $1.7 million NIL stud contract, and old boy is $3.2 million in our boy Manning. So I definitely agree with you 100%. We do not want to get into a shootout whatsoever with Texas. I think I think the spread came out 7.5 point underdogs at home, and I think we all agreed.
Wow, I didn't see that.
Yeah, we're 7. I just looked it up a short time ago, and to me that's a big deal. To national champs at home, and you're still 7.5 point underdogs. It shows the respect that the people that are voting, whether it be AP poll or coaches poll, have for Texas. I think Texas is very good. I think Texas is one of the top teams in the country, and hopefully we get a moment here to talk about our top 2 and top surprise 2 teams that we think are after week 1, because I've got a few surprises I'm actually shocked on as well.
Yeah, let's start with the we'll get to the picks at the end. Surprise flops, though. I mean, Florida State has to be the top of everybody's list, losing not only week 1 and then hey, the favorite, they're probably still going to be ACC champs or whatever, and now they lose to Boston College at home, being a 30-point favorite. I mean, Mike Norvell's job has to be in jeopardy even after 2 weeks now.
It's the Uyunglele curse.
It's the DJ Uyunglele curse. Is that what he said?
You're the only one that can pronounce his name correctly, Vahid.
Clemson didn't work out. Didn't work out at Oregon State.
Yep.
And now he's on to the third school in 3 years, and they're 0-2 already. He did not play well.
No. They were just showing a clip on ESPN. Well, they were showing it on Twitter of the classic video from a couple years ago where DJ was in the private Clemson plane with Dabo, and Dabo was like, "Hey, DJ," pointing at the stadium from the sky. "You're gonna win a lot of games here, man. You're gonna win so many games here." Obviously, that didn't happen.
Florida State looked rough. That's all I can tell you.
Florida State is in a world of hurt. Miami looked really good. I mean, really good. I was shocked by that final score.
Who's that kid that got that ninth year kid, man? Hey, kudos to that guy. What's the story behind? I mean, 9 years. He's got 9 years. He's the first player in college to ever, be granted a 9th year. I mean, the guy basically got an injury every year, including I think.
Is that real? 9 years?
Yeah, he's a 9 year. Yeah, they're telling him to hang it up. I mean, he had
what is he, Van Wilder?
A lot of people go to school for 9 years.
They're called doctors.
Yeah. He's got 3 kids.
Van Wilder. Yeah. Does he have 3 kids, really?
No, I know. I'm just saying no. But he's been a guy that, hey, listen, but from a mental standpoint, the guy's had massive injuries. I think he actually started at Oregon. Most of his career was at Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. And then he ended up transferring, and they granted him if you think about it, you get 4 years. And if you redshirt every year, that's an extra year. That's 8. And then apparently they granted him a 9th year based upon
this dude is a grown man. He is a grown man.
But hey, Miami looked tough. I'm telling you what, I got Miami. For me, Miami's in top 10. That's one of my surprises. I would say.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not buying Miami just yet because I've seen them play the last few years. I'm still not buying Miami until they can consistently do this. I mean, I think he's a great coach. I think he's come in and lit a fire under them the last couple of years. But let's just – it's the ACC. Okay. Let's just see what happens. Hey, Georgia Tech, by the way, they get the victory the first week.
Ooh.
You think LSU – let's switch gears. LSU's a flop? You think they're a flop the first week?
I think the bigger question is BK having it his way, and is he on the hot seat? I mean, we talk about how BK's been there, what, 3 years now?
20-8. The same exact. Now I will give credit where credit is due on this tweet.
Oh, here we go.
Because he's a friend of mine. John Bryce tweeted out the other day, Brian Kelly has the same record as Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, at LSU, both 20-8. And guess who had a bevy of players, including a Heisman Trophy winner? That would be LSU and Brian Kelly.
What was I'm curious on that. What's the strength of schedule compared between the two?
Oh, I'm sure it's all in favor of LSU there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just was curious. I assumed that was probably the case, but that is pretty funny.
I mean, BK, we were talking a little bit about this today, and Evan, I kind of want your take on it.
Well, hold on real quick. You guys hit this. I got to get a charger before my phone dies.
All right. We'll talk to AJW about this.
I
He's
guess
a huge Brian Kelly guy. Now, Brian throwing a rant after the game and not actually showing that fire during the game, are they getting the real Brian Kelly now in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Brian Kelly has been successful everywhere he's went, right? I mean,
which we've acknowledged.
We've always been a guy as a successful coach. He wouldn't have gotten to where he wasn't if he wasn't successful, right? Grand Valley,
correct.
Notre Dame, I mean, Cincinnati. The guy he does know how to win.
Yeah.
Part of being a coach, though, I think, is from if you're any type of leader, whether it be in business, in sports, is composure, right? And sometimes you as a coach have to basically, whether it's get kids fired up, kind of do what Freeman did at the beginning. I think he did that from like what he said. It's a leadership thing. Hey, I'm trying to get these guys sparked up. You look at that interview at the end of the LSU game, and Kelly just slamming his hand on the table, and these guys, they're just not doing it. They're not, what I mean? I'm like, well, that's on you, buddy. I mean, you've had all season to go get ready. You knew this was going to be Notre Dame. You knew they were going to, you give them your all. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? You know what I mean?
They're calling him the most unlikable guy in college football. Evan, would you agree with that?
Who's the most likable? Lane Kiffin?
I mean, who in your eyes is, do you think?
I mean, Freeman's probably got to be up there too.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, Lane's pretty funny in pressers. But yeah, I mean, I think Kelly, he's in that older guard mentality of coaches right now, kind of a get off my lawn type, right? Where we've maybe seen the majority of those that haven't been able to make the shift into kind of the next generation of athletes, and he's still kind of hanging on. It looks desperate, right, is what it looks like. That's how it comes off to me.
Do you think that style of coaching is dead? I mean, do you think the Marcus Freeman style of coaching where, the players coach, I mean, that is what resonates in living rooms when you're trying to recruit? That's what resonates with transfer portal guys. I mean, is that the type of coach that players want
That's what resonates with the softer generation of athletes, yes.
This what? This softer?
A softer generation of athletes, for sure.
Whoa.
Everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah. But I say that, Vahid. I would still players, coaches are great to play with. But we've talked about this, right? Is there still has to be a balance where if he needs to, he's got to still get on you. There's got to be expectations, and you have to be held accountable. And just because I yell at you or I raise my voice, it doesn't mean that I demean you. I think that's the difference now. You guys are parents.
Do you think Brian Kelly's too quick to put his players down?
For sure, 100%.
Do you think
100%.
He's too quick to put the blame on them?
100%. And he did it at Notre Dame too. And my coach, he was quick to. One thing that he didn't do was he didn't throw us under the bus publicly. But you better believe we heard about it in the locker room. I got to go out in front of the media and tell them that it was my fault, right? Okay. So I don't like that approach, telling us that. Like, just go do it. That's your job. Okay. But I think you are going to start to see a shift, Vahid. I think it's going to be more of the Marcus Freemans, where you have the players coach that can get on you when they need to, but there is a mutual level of respect. And especially guys like Freeman who played, they get it, right?
100%.
And I was fortunate enough recently. We had all of our dealers in from Barletta. A week or two ago, and Nick Saban came in and he spoke to everybody, and he talked about his personal shift in his leadership style. Because if you look at him early in his career, not that we're saying it was spot on with Brian Kelly, and all the documentaries look like he's hard on his players. He has expectations of his players. There's a level that he wants them to get to. But he told a story where he was coaching at Michigan State at the time, and he had this shift. It was a shift in his personal coaching and leadership philosophy that he said, had it not happened, he would not have had the success, 7 national championships that he had. Where everything, and I think this is the old school mentality, and probably how he was trained as he was coming up the coaching ranks, was it's black and white, it's wins and losses, that's it. That's all that matters. Okay? And so he defined that as transactional leadership. I'll be in a good mood if we win. I'll be in a terrible mood. I'll throw you under the bus if we lose because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So he had this shift into transformational leadership, where there was less of a focus on the overall outcome. And this blew my mind. He said that when he was at Alabama, again, dominant for 15 years, they never had anywhere in their facility that said a goal that said win the SEC, win a national championship. Never said that. He goes, you walk through all of our facilities, it just says be a champion. That's it. And then he has a pyramid of what those expectations are and how to do that. Overcoming obstacles, being persistent. And it was when he said when he shifted to that and focused on the process, the results took care of themselves.
But
so
isn't that life, right? I mean, isn't that
for
life?
Sure.
If you're too focused on the outcome, I mean, how badly or how much is that outcome going to come true? If you're focused on the process, right? Aaron, you have the best beer in Indiana. How you're focused on the outcome. You're not going in making a beer being like, oh, this is going to be a blue ribbon winner. You're focused on the process, right? You're focused on the grains of sand, right? You're putting in the grains of sand.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the beer Love for Maui and what that did. It was a beer that we had an idea. Hey, we're going to do a beer that was going to raise funds for a charity. We had no idea. It's one of the highest ranked IPAs that we've had. I think you have to have an idea, implement the process, and go execute it. If you take a look at what USC did and Coach Riley did against BK, he was out-coached. I mean, I'll tell you what, Miller Moss looked fantastic.
Yeah,
He looked fantastic. Yep. The rest of the Big Ten, if they didn't watch, you Big Ten guys, hey, USC is going to be they're going to be playing in the Big Ten championship was what I saw. And to step into that role in a short amount of time and have my eyes what Coach Riley did to BK and dominate the game and obviously there was a lot of people that said, hey, there's no chance that LSU is going to lose this. You got a guy like Miller Moss. I mean, when he gave his interview, he was well coached. He's well spoken. You could tell he's a leadership. He talked a lot about how he sat behind Caleb Williams and waited for his time in some of the process that Evan's talking about of transformational leadership, of passing the torch from one amazing first-round draft quarterback that's now at Chicago to passing the torch and coming in on the first game and having everybody go, wow, who's this Miller Moss guy? Who really didn't have any last year any spotlight to now being after one game winning, to me, that bodes right directly to the coach and what he's transformed a little bit about what Evan was talking about with Saban, in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to add to that, and I said it as a joke, the softer version of athletes.
Yeah, sure.
But we can all agree that it's different than it was 5, 10 years ago.
100%.
There's a lot you can't say and do as a coach. I mean, you could get away with it then. You can't now. Everything's recorded and videotaped. But what I think it is the coaches that players will play for, they recognize that coach sees value in them regardless of the outcome of the game. And players will play hard for someone that sees that.
Yep.
And so I agree. I think that the shift has already occurred. If you look at the head coaches that are rising, or if you look at coaches that have had success, because I would say that Saban, even though he kind of got to the point where it was like, all right, NIL totally different. I'm not trying to learn these new tricks. But if you look at the last 3-4 years of his career, I think that he was making adjustments, and that's what great coaches do, is they understand the players that they are recruiting and coaching, and how generations are different. But I think guys like Marcus Freeman and some of these other young coaches, they get it because they're closer to it. And also, it's an added bonus if you had played and had success like Marcus Freeman did, because he's been in their shoes. He understands it. He doesn't have to beat a dead horse because you make a bet. I already know it. I know you feel bad you messed up, but here's the expectation, and I expect it on the next play. Let's go. Okay, coach, got it.
See, Marcus is already a very, very likable guy. And to see him up close in person have that much passion.
Well, it's the pretty person syndrome. That's why.
And he's got nice suits.
He's got what, nice suits?
What did you guys think of the white pants?
Loved them.
The coach's white pants.
Loved them.
I don't know if I can pull off the white pants.
Coach Freeman, he's got some thick thighs, man.
Because the dude,
that's some tree trunks, baby.
Dude, this dude is working out. He is working out. He's running stairs every day at Notre Dame Stadium. And listen, I got to give him props. He was wearing white pants before Labor Day officially. So, hey, he's okay. He's okay. Listen, they're going undefeated. I'm sorry. They're going undefeated.
Oh, yeah. Is that what you're calling? No, nice.
But, again, we go back to, and we've already talked about this, but, again, they're going to be if they continue to win, they're going to be the 5 seed. They're going to play the 12 seed. Let's say they win that game at home. They play the 4 seed then, which could be a Big Ten school. It could be, but who knows what it's going to be. And then maybe they play Georgia, right? I mean, that's always going to be the path, right? It's, you have the home game, you play the road game against whoever, the 4th seed in the quarterfinal, and then you play the semifinal, and you're going to play the number 1 team. That's going to be the foreseeable future, it looks like. But, again, the playoff is a playoff. You don't know. You said it's hard to win in college football, and it's hard to win against top teams, and it's hard to beat top teams. And I think Notre Dame looked like, at least on defense, they were a championship caliber team. No. You're going to disagree with me on this one?
I'm going to say they looked like a playoff defense.
Not championship. You won't go as far as saying championship caliber defense.
No.
Should we bring out the bazooka?
Hold on. Let me. Let me play a little wah wah for you guys here. Hold on. Hold on. Oh man, I had this. How do you do this? Oh, here we go. Let's see.
You want me to do like a wah, wah, wah. There you go.
Vahid,
give him the digital. Give him the digital.
Here's what I'm doing.
Give him the digital chains.
We had the full gamut there.
It's too early to say.
All right. You do
That's,
know.
So
I mean,
listen, we're in the season now, Vahid. You got to take it week by week.
Hey, can I ask this, Evan? Because this is an honest question. Do you think
they do have a very good defense? Do
you think it was a signature win for Notre Dame and the Freeman?
Absolutely not.
Oh wow.
Oh, in the Freeman era? Yeah, I don't know.
That's what you had to listen to the whole question.
Okay.
So the signature win would be a playoff win against Georgia.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
I don't think
doesn't count as a signature win.
I don't think a win against the 20th ranked team.
My feeling is I thought it was a signature win to start the season. That's what I would say. I understand that it's not, okay, they were ranked less, but the fact to go on the road, with another new quarterback, obviously, he's a skilled quarterback, and win the game the way they did. I thought they looked good. I thought Notre Dame looked good. I was shocked. I mean, it was gritty, and you went in.
It was gritty.
Yeah, I think the right word is gritty. I mean, they went in, took care of business. They're coming back home. And the rest of September, the Irish should be, smiling and lots of shamrocks flying.
Well, no letdown against NIU. Let's just.
Oh boy, you're right. That would be
take it 1 week at a time. Let's just get past this next week.
Yeah,
it's the biggest cliche, Vahid. It's the biggest cliche, but that's kind of where my head is right now because I'm not going to. Could they, Vahid? I will admit they could go undefeated.
Hold on.
Ooh,
they definitely could.
That's a step for him, babe.
Hold on.
Okay, I said.
You know what you get for that one? You know what you get for that one?
I love
that.
Hold on. You get.
These sound effects are pulled from NCAA football.
All right. Thank you.
I'm going to replay that one in every single show we've ever had. Like standing ovation.
Yeah.
How do you turn this thing off?
He's trying to elevate the stadium crowd and raise the level.
It was a big, in my mind, to go on the road and win that game. It's I'm not going to say it was a gritty win. They have now put themselves in a position where it's more likely than not that they could run the table.
Yeah.
I hate talking about a weak schedule. I do. And that's why I don't want to get ahead of my skis on this is I don't know what some of these teams are going to look like in 3 weeks and in 4 weeks.
Right.
That's fair.
We talk about how terrible Florida State has started, but who knows? They could have a 3 or 4 game stretch where they get hot, and they're playing lights out. Now I don't know if that's going to happen.
DJ Uyunglele.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but
it's going to be a
stretch. You understand what I'm saying is because injuries can occur. You don't know. But right now, sitting here today, winning that first game, Vahid, they have a very good opportunity now to run the table.
I'll take it. I'll actually take that. Notre Dame versus NIU. Everybody has Notre Dame here, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
What are they? 30-point favorites?
Yeah, they're something big. 3 touchdowns.
I hope they score half 100. I hope they do.
Yeah, that would be good. Michigan, Texas. What do we got?
Oh, Aaron, buddy, I don't feel great for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's going to be a long weekend.
Yeah.
Make your call, buddy. Throw your daggers. It's fine.
It's at noon on Fox, by the way.
It hurts me to throw daggers at you, Aaron.
Noon helps us. Sign me up. I mean,
they play noon all the time. Yeah.
Michigan traditionally plays better at noon than they do in night games. Just
hopefully Texas is half asleep for the first half.
Right.
Well, it's a 3 versus 10. I have Texas, winning going away. I'm going to say I don't think they get to 50. I think it's close, though. I think 47-24 final score.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to say 35-17.
I think if you're a betting person and as a Michigan fan, it's going to be real hard after week 1. I know it's still early, but I think this is going to be a difficult game. Even at 7.5, I think we could go do all the Hail Marys in the grotto over at Notre Dame, and we still wouldn't. To me, we're going to lose I think we'll lose by 2 touchdowns. If we play like we did versus Fresno State, I think it's going to be very difficult. And just as a fan, you don't like saying that, but unless we do something completely different than what we did and our defense is lights out, because I still do think, I mean, the defense won the game for us, and at the end of the game and really brought some spark into it. I think we cannot get into a shootout with Texas. Too many weapons. So, but I think I'm going to have to lose by 2 touchdowns.
Michigan's going to have a good game plan, and I think it's just going to be centered around. You got to make Quinn Ewers feel as uncomfortable as possible. I say you dial it up and you try to put pressure on him, and if you can create a couple of turnovers, that's a brand new ball game then.
If Michigan wins that football game, they are going to have to run the football game. I was disappointed on how much we didn't run the football game in the first game. We were throwing the football, but I think that was to try to get Warren some snaps and get him comfortable, because guess what? The second game of the season is probably going to be the biggest game, could be of all season beyond the Ohio State game, or Penn State too, who's super dangerous. We haven't even talked about them yet.
Penn State looked good too.
Dude, I'll tell you what. Listen, they're one of my sleepers. If you don't think Penn State's a top 5, top 16.
Big Ten. You see, I mean, Nebraska's got a good young quarterback now too. He's a stud. There's some dangerous teams in the Big Ten.
Well, they could beat each other up. Big Ten.
Well, that's each other up. And then you look in the SEC. I mean, there's a young gun at Tennessee, man. That dude can sling it.
Yep. So games to watch this weekend, I'd say Boise State at Oregon. I know Oregon's got kind of a tough schedule. Boise State, I think that could be closer. The spread is 19.5 right now in that one.
I think Oregon
my
struggled
surprise. What's that, buddy?
I was just saying, Oregon struggled just as much as Michigan did with Fresno State, and Ohio State early on first half did with who were they playing, like Akron or whatever it was. I mean, I think Oregon did not look good. They were a disappointing team for me, as much as I think we've talked about them preseason. And again, it's early, it's first game. Everybody's you still got probably some guys that are still fighting for position and starting positions. Oregon didn't look that great. That's what I'll say in week 1.
How about App State at Clemson?
App State, baby, man. Those guys are always fire, man. They get all the fast kids that can't go to Michigan.
I
think Dabo's on the hot seat here.
He's got to be.
Dabo,
he refuses to change.
Yeah, Dabo. I think Dabo steps down at the end of the year. I don't think they ceremoniously kind of.
Yeah.
Let him go. I think they make, they kind of like it's your decision, but you're going to be leaving anyway, kind of thing. Do you think he goes down as one of the greatest coaches ever?
Evan, are you taking this one, or am I giving my opinion?
That's a good question, Vahi.
Or do you think it's too soon?
I mean, they had a great run, man. He had it dialed in.
He also had one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time.
I know. Yeah, but I mean, Tim Tebow is probably the best college quarterback of all time, and that's why they had success at Florida.
Who was his coach? Was it Spurs?
No, it was Urban Meyer.
Tebow was Urban Meyer, yeah.
Yeah, Urban Meyer, that's right.
Don't
Is
you
Urban
remember
Meyer one of the
when-
greatest coaches of all time?
Whew.
Oh, man, do we really have to go there?
I think
Swamp
so.
Kings.
Here's what I'll tell you.
That was a missed opportunity with that documentary. They left so much out.
I
believe
downloaded it, haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
Hey, Urban Meyer knows how to win, and the guy's got a lot of national championships. So guess what? In the words of what Evan would say, because Saban won 7, I think it was on a text string earlier or something like that this week, that, yes, as much as it pains me to say, Urban Meyer is one of the greatest coaches
Yeah.
of all time in college football.
Okay.
And AJW's take is Nick Saban's one of the greatest coaches of all time, but he should be on College Game Day.
Get Saban out of there, man. Come on, McAfee. Let McAfee take over.
I think he was great. I
don't like him on game day. I love McAfee
great.
on game day.
Listen, as much as everybody likes McAfee taking his shirt off, I like the serious guy thing, you know?
Hold on, real quick.
Yeah, exactly. All right, very quickly, gents. We've got 4 minutes. We got to make our picks. The National Football League is back and better than ever. Chiefs Ravens to kick things off Thursday night.
Nice.
Who you got?
That's a great game.
Man, that's a hot one to start the season.
Yes, it is.
I'm not going to pick against the Chiefs.
KC is -3 at home.
Yeah. I think the Chiefs have got to win that, man. I mean, as good as Baltimore is, I mean, Baltimore's reloaded. Who did they add in running back? Did they add Henry? I think
Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got Henry. I don't know, man. Hey, that's a pick 'em, but I'll tell you what. If you want to know where I'm going to be at, I got to actually sling the beers at the bar on Thursday, but I'm going to be doing 85 to get home to be at the old school WWE to watch that one. So I'm going with the Chiefs, though, man. I just think, reigning champs, they got to get it done.
All right. We're going to do a little something different here. Dub Bears first few games versus Tennessee at home.
Loss.
At Houston.
Definitely a loss.
Loss.
At Indy.
Ooh.
I think that'll be their first win. I think they could beat Indy.
Versus the LA Chargers.
Loss. Harvey!
Versus Carolina.
Win.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Jacksonville.
Win.
Bye week. At Washington.
Win.
At Arizona.
That's a 50-50. Yeah. You pick them.
And versus New England. That's their first 10 weeks.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I think it could be.
Do the Bears make the playoffs?
Oh, man.
Restore the roar, baby.
You already restored it.
No, restore it even more. We're going to the Super Bowl, baby. Hey, and you're going to buy tickets.
I'm not buying. I'm winning tickets.
Don't let him get out of that. You see this finger that's pointing at you? that's at the Heat. He said he was taking us if the Lions go to the Super Bowl.
What else is week 1? Boy.
You got Lions playing the
where are the Lions? I'm not seeing the Lions. Oh, Rams at Lions.
Yeah, they got Stafford. Yeah,
oh.
Yeah, that'll be a great game. I think it's.
I'm
Sunday
picking
night
the Rams,
game.
buddy.
I think it's 8:30 Sunday night game. That'll be a fun game to watch, man. Little Pinot Grigio, dude. Lions got it, man. Stafford's gonna be like, man, maybe I should have stayed. Look at golf. Hey, first round draft pick. It's a big contract. Lions are. Hey, all they did was add a few pieces. I'm telling you, boys. The Heat. Book that plane. Hey, and I like Tanqueray and tonics on the flight, just so you know.
Well, for sit first class, it's free, so there you go.
There you
go. Of course, this show is called Varsity Brews. What are we drinking tonight, gentlemen?
I've had a little bit of everything. I grilled a pork loin tenderloin, and I had Audrey brought back some beers from Delaware on her trip to Delaware. So there was we did a couple husband-wife shares, as we call them. So yeah, we've had a few beers. I'm drinking Pinot Grigio at the moment. Behringer, Main and Vine to be specific.
Nice.
$5.99 at Martin's. So
$6 chunk.
I crushed a little. It was milk, heavy whipping cream, and protein powder from Legacy.
look at this guy. You can tell one of us is a brewer and one's a sports guy.
I absolutely love it, buddy. Hey, but he's representing with the Mr. Fluffles.
I love it. Yeah, it's great, man. I was thinking that Evan was going to rip it off like McAfee this,
Yeah.
Start getting
maybe one of these.
Evan, we need the views. So will you do the honors, buddy?
We'll get like 5,000 new likes.
Hit the subscribe.
Man. All right, guys. Well, by the way, Packers and Eagles in the no green game in Brazil.
Ooh.
By the way,
man, I'll tell you what, they were talking about this game. Listen, Brazil is not a safe place to go to and have a game.
Really.
They can't wear green. Two green teams can't wear green.
They were talking about how dangerous it is out there. They're not even letting the athletes leave the hotel. They have to stay on in the hotel because, dude, Brazil's not it's not like a safe place. I mean, listen, I'm not hating on Brazil. I like Brazil. You know, listen, I like Pele.
I like Brazil.
Pele was one of the greatest soccer players of all time, but I'm telling you, it's not a safe place, you know. But they were talking about how it actually is going to be a unique environment. But I mean, that's the NFL doing their thing. They're marketing to that organization and getting, it's viewership, right? A lot of people want to watch football around the world, and NFL is doing a great job at marketing. So I think it's a brilliant campaign to do that.
Well, we're gonna see you next Tuesday night. Hopefully, we will be live from the brewery, as we usually are. Apologies, guys. My life is ever in flux at the moment as my wife is about to give birth to our baby boy. So we're always on watch over here. Yeah.
Do we get any hints on the name, like Wild Bill Hickok, or
Well, we're calling him Wild Bill for now.
He is
absolutely wild, and now he's got the belt to prove it. So
all right, love it.
We will reveal a name shortly, though. I promise.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Maybe over a glass of brew over at WWB.
Yeah, that's good. Perfect. Yeah, we got some good beers coming. We got our Oktoberfest beer right around the corner.
Awesome.
Maybe Baby Bill will get a beer named after him.
You never know. You never know.
I love it, man.
I didn't mean to cut you off there. What do you got there going right now?
Oh, we got coming up. We're going to be releasing our first ever Oktoberfest beer. So it is it's a Marzen beer. So that's for those that don't know, but in Germany, the Oktoberfest begins September 21st through, I believe, October 6th. So that's if you've never been to Germany before, me and Audrey, when we were first dating and probably 3 years into it, we were that far from clicking at the time Expedia and going to Oktoberfest. We never made it before marriage, and now 2 kids later and a house and a brewery. But we decided to make our first ever Oktoberfest. So it should be good. It's good. The name of the beer is Liban für Herbst. If I don't, for all my German friends out there, don't butcher me because I'm practicing. But it's a Marzen beer, so it'll be like an ale that should be pretty good. But it definitely has German notes and German grains, and so definitely a little stretch outside of what Westwind normally does. But somebody challenged me to do that, so we got that coming here. Really, probably in the next 2-3 weeks. So it's almost done fermenting, and we'll get it carved up.
A hint on the name?
Say it again.
Did we get a hint on the name?
Oh yeah, I just gave it to you. Yeah, the name is Liban für Herbst. That's the
name of it. Okay,
that is the. Well, that's what I said. Don't make fun of me. I'm not German. I'm like Irish and.
I thought you were doing your best Rammstein impression with Du hast me.
Audrey knows German, so I had her verify that I'm pronouncing right. She made me add the word "fur," but and then I'll save it for what the actual beer meaning name is for when we actually taste it. But it should be pretty good. I know there's a lot of people excited about it. We got a couple viewings coming up of people that we'll do some releases, and it'll be a special release at the brewery too. So should be pretty.
Sounds good, buddy. Well, we appreciate it, guys. As always, this has been a fun one. Varsity Brews podcast brought to you by Westwind Brewery. It's brought to you by Legacy Performance. Hold that shake up high, buddy. We want to see that. Yep. I love it.
I'm still thinking
one of the best shakers in the business right there.
My samples are in the snail mail.
And, of course, brought to you by Gabe at Rustic Rocks. That dude does legendary work if you haven't seen it. And I know he's finishing that work over at Notre Dame. Did he finish it yet, or is he?
He's close. I think he's got. I think he told me second week in September. It was a get her come in and get her done kind of job. So I talked to him probably 2-3 days ago and asked him how I was going. He's over there all the time, so he's rocking it out. But yeah, Gabe does a great job doing landscape work.
Awesome. Check him out at on their Facebook page at Rustic Rocks. For Mr. AJW, Mr. Evan Sharpley, I'm Vahid Sadarzadeh. This is the Varsity Brews podcast. Of course, go to our website. You can get all types of merch there. Maybe we'll even throw in some Super Bowl tickets. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Guys, we'll see you in the next one.
Cheers.
See ya.